Paris all the way to New Orleans where the girls cook catfish. And in LA, every chick's an actress. Hollywood status with the shaded glasses. To Detroit, yeah, the place that I rest, where the ladies got asses and love live sex. And Hot Atlanta, y'all, is one of the best, where they speak southern slang and smoke la cess. And New York women are way too fresh. Too much on your mind, let me ease that stress. I wish you all were mine, it's so self-evident.
Hi guys, welcome to Pom Closet. Today I'm going to be showing you how to knit a top by using this Addi Express machine. Many of you have seen the designs by using these machines in their past videos. So we are just gonna create something with this. What do we need for this project? We are going to use the cotton yarn. And here you can find all the information about this yarn. So 1 skein of yarn, 50 grams, 115 meters. The needles number 3 to 4. If you are using this yarn for crochet or knitting. But for this machine here, we are gonna use this yarn. So it's gonna be slightly see-through because the yarn is a bit thin. But I have used this yarn with this machine in the past videos, so I think they're quite okay and works well because I have used a nylon yarn which is slightly thicker and it's not as soft as this cotton yarn, and they're still working. So sometimes you might need to try to do a little samples of how the yarn works on the machines. So what else do we need? The crochet hook. I'm going to be using the 4mm. So we're going to be using this to cast off and do the crochet bits on the top. And the yarn needle, a pair of cutter or the scissors, a tape measure, some stitch markers. Also I'm going to be using this little ring here. I have found this in the local what you call suppliers shop, so you can use anything that you have which is similar to this. We are gonna starting from the first needle where the black one is here. So if you are not familiar with this Addi Express king size machine, you can just go back and check out with the other videos that I have done. To start with, just position the yarn on the first needle, and then we're just going to do front back like this. Just keep going with the front back like this, and you cast on for 44 stitches. Just keep rotating the rotator. So 44 stitches is my 44 stitches. So I put the yarn back into the yarn slot, and then I will clear the roll counter. So what I have here on the side, you can actually set this machine for this garter striking. This is the plain knit, and the bottom one is the circular knitting. But I have always used the flat panel, so I'm just gonna leave it down like this. If I need the circular items like a hat or the scarf, so I can readjust the machine, you need to rotate it backwards. 44 stitches cast on and rotate it back slowly. And here's back to the first needle, and we need to go backwards, so make sure you help the yarn sometimes. when it doesn't go down. Here is where I left the yarn for sewing later. So make sure the needles catch the yarn. Just go slow first. You can control the machine and the yarn. So just keep knitting backwards, forwards, and do this for 39 rows in total. I'm done with 39 rows of the straight knitting. So now we need to cast this off by get the yarn out of the slot here and keep rotating the rotator. So you need the crochet hook. I'm using the 4mm hook here. Just the right size for this kind of yarn, for the 4-ply cotton yarn. So you need to transfer the yarn from the first needles and then do the slip stitch. The second one, transfer the yarn to the needles, so you have 2 loops, and then you slip stitch once by pulling the yarn through and then chain 1. The next stitch, transfer the yarn, 2 loops on the needles, pull the yarn through, chain 1. So keep doing this until you reach the last stitch. And on the last stitch, you just chain 1 and then cut off the yarn, sewing later. So the measurement of this piece, let's check. We are making a size small top. This Addi Express machine can only fit size small or size medium, depends on the design. And the width of this piece, I would say around 17 inches. And I will leave it like this first. And let's move on to the front piece. For the front piece, you will need to cast on exactly the same as on the back piece. So like this piece here, and you knit straight for 39 rows as well. And after row 39, I will get back to you to decrease the front part of the top. My row 39 is done. And we need to now put the stitch markers on each side. So I prefer to use the hair clips because it's quite thin. So I will put one on the left and put one on the right side. Now just get the crochet hook, the same one I'm using for the back piece, and we need to now reduce 1 stitches on each side every single row. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer the first stitch, so you need to rotate the rotator here and then transfer the first stitch from the machine to the crochet hook and then put it back onto the next stitch, the stitch next to it, and then you just keep knitting. So I would prefer to write this down. I forgot to mention about the note paper, but we can do this by taking the note. This is row 1 that we are reducing, and just keep knitting. Before you reach the last stitch in the same row, you need to first transfer the last stitch here onto the needles, the crochet hook, the crochet needles, and then put it back on the stitch next to it, and then you complete this row. So on the note, it's the same row. because we are gonna reducing one stitch on each side of each row. So the next row I will transfer the stitch onto the next one, put the yarn back on and knit. Before you reach the last stitch, you just need to transfer the stitch onto the stitch next to it. And complete this row. The next row you just keep repeating. So first of all I need to note it down. That's the second one, and this one will be row 3. And here is my row 19, and I still have 3 stitches left on the machine here. Here is my note paper. So I have in total of 19 rows after you starting to decrease the size of the left and the right. This is the front part. And for row 20 of these reducing, I'm just gonna cast it off by taking the yarn out the yarn slot, and I'm just gonna transfer the yarn, and then you slip the yarn through the next stitch, transfer the yarn onto the crochet hook. So you slipped, chain 1, the last stitch, transfer the yarn onto the needle, slipped, and chain 1. And I will firstly leave the yarn like this, because we need to work on this side. So I will leave this first. We need to do the measurement of this part. So the width of this piece will remain the same. So from here, when you measure from the corner to the corner where the stitch markers are, it's around 17 inches. Measuring from the side, when you're measuring from where I have the stitch markers to the top point of this top, that would be around 8 inches. So on the other side that would be the same. And the width of the other piece, I forgot to measure it. It's around 9 inches. So now you have the front and the back piece. We need to do the joining the seams of these 2 pieces. I'll bring the back piece, and then we need to put the right side to the right side like this, and put the stitch markers in the corner here. So I have one corner done, and then I will do the other corner also on the side of the tops also. So just put lots of stitch markers on, so it's easier for you to work. I have the stitch markers on the sides of the top. Now we need to connect the seams together. I will grab the yarn, and starting from my left hand side, from the first corner where you have the stitch markers, just gonna pull the yarn through. I tied it, just just gonna do the basic slip stitches. So here at the corner, make sure you have the front and the back in the same length. And then here's my number 4 needles. I'll pull the yarn through first, and for the front and the back piece you also need to pull the yarn through, just slip stitch like this. Pull the needle through, go through the front and the back piece. I don't have the specific stitches to do. I'm just gonna go along with the length of this piece. So keep doing this. You make sure you have the front and the back side together, and pull the yarn through to connect the side. Keep doing this until you get the last piece here to the end of this top, and cut off the yarn, and then you just repeat on the other side as well. I have the 2 pieces connected. Now we need to turn the work back to the right side. So I will and then we are going to start working from the right side. Here's the bottom part. We are going to start from the bottom part of this top first. I still have the yarn left, so just need to find where exactly. So it's here. I will firstly pull the yarn where we started to cast on first. Just want to make it a bit tighter because it's a bit too loose. So I will pull this and then get the measurement of 17 inches of each side, the back and the front. 17 inches. Just keep pulling the yarn and then do the front and the back. That should be okay. So now we can start to do the ribbing for the bottom part of this top. I will start from here because I still have the yarn left. After that, what I'm gonna do is getting the knitting needles. This is the circular needles, and I need to do the knitting part for the ribbing. So grab the top. I still have my crochet hook on, and I'm just gonna insert the knitting needles here on this loop, and then you just need to start from the stitch next to it, and then just pull the yarn through the stitches, put the yarn through this loop here, and then just move on to the next one. Try to bring the yarn onto the knitting needle and just move on like this. And next stitch, you can maybe use the crochet hook to help to pull through, but this one kind of like okay. But I use the knitting needles like this. Move on to the next one. So next one like this. So keep doing this until you reach the last stitch on the other side. I have the circular knitting, so when this part here is kind of full, you can just slide all the stitches all the way along this part here. Just make sure they stay on on the needles or on this section so it doesn't get loosed. I will keep continuing doing this until I get to the last, and here is the last stitch. After I've been doing this all the way around, I have the circular needles, the knitting needles. I'm not too familiar with knitting with the needles, but this one, because I need the ribbing to be more like smooth and they just go together with the knitting top, so I'm just gonna try these techniques. So get the yarn back into this position because you need to start knitting. I will put the stitch markers on this part where I'm starting, so you know where to start and where the first row is. So after that, I'm just gonna do the ribbing stitches by doing the knit. If any of you not too familiar with knitting with the needles, I'm not too good with the needles neither, but I'm gonna show you what I can. So we're gonna do the first knit, and here would be the second. For the second one, I'm gonna knit as well, and then I put the yarn back to the front, and I'm gonna knit two. This is a purl, so purl stitch like this, and do one more purl, and then the yarn back to the back. So now we need to do two knit, and then back to the front. Need to do two purl stitches, one purl and the second one, and then the yarn back to the back and do two knit stitches. So this one here, first knit, second knit, and then the yarn back to the front, and just keep repeating this until you get back to where you started. So I will try to move other stitches here closer. So where we started here, now I need to do two purls. Just put the needles on top like this, and two knit. The Addi machine cannot do this kind of stitches, that's why we have to do it by hand like this. It might take some time, but after the top is done, it will look really fine. Two knit. So I will keep continue doing this until I reach these two stitches here. Make sure the stitches is even numbers, not the odd numbers. So you can do two purls, two knits, two purls, two knits until you get to this point. I'm now back to where I have the stitch markers here, and my last two stitches here up in purl stitches. They need to be in purls because I will start to repeat these, the second row, with exactly the same stitches as where we started here. So after two purls, and then this is the end of the row, I'm just gonna continue with row 2 with the two knit stitches. So we're just gonna repeat what stitches you have on the first row. Here's my second row, so I will do the two knit, and then you just repeat two purls, and then yarn back to the back of the needles, and then just do two 2 knit stitches, back here to do the 2 purls, and then just keep repeating of the 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knit, 2 purls until you reach the end of the row, which is here, so where you have the stitch markers on, and then repeat again. So have 2 purls, that would be the last 2 stitches before you starting the next row, and keep repeating this until you get the length of the ribbing. So this ribbing part I'm gonna keep going with it later. I will move on first to where the top part of this top. So here you can see here's the back part, and here's where we end up with 3 stitches on the front piece. What I'm gonna do, so while I'm still having the yarn left, so I'm gonna change 3, and then I will get back to, you cannot really see the proper stitches. I'm just gonna go back to where we start changing the 3 chains, and then I move on to the side with the length of these double crochets, so it's not too tight or too loose. Change 3, back to where you started to change, and then get the right length. So we are doing the edging of the top part. Continue doing this all the way around. So by changing 3, get back to the same stitch, do double crochets, move on, slip stitch, change 3, double crochets. Continue doing this until you get back to the same place where you started. So just basically all the way around the front and the back part here, and I will meet you, and here is the last stitch. So I've done this all the way around the front and the back piece. So I will now grab the ring where I've mentioned earlier. So I will do this. I will put, so how I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna starting from where I have the yarn here, and then you need to pull the yarn through like this. So basically just need to do the single crochet in these loops all the way around like this until the rows got full, until the ring got fulfilled. So we keep doing this, just single crochets all the way around. So how many stitches I haven't counted? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. I'm just gonna go for 20. I think that should be okay. So the front side would be here where we started. I'm gonna do the slip stitch on this stitch, chain 1, and then I cut off the yarn, and then we need to sew this part in. Grab the yarn needles and then insert the ends. Make sure here's the front. Here's the front part. I still have this big gap, so I need to close it. Doesn't look too nice. And the rest I'm just gonna weave these ends in. Just go back and forth until the ends here is secure. So now we have this little crochet rings on top of this knitted top. Let me put this down to check what this looks like. So the bottom part I haven't done. I need to get this part done first. So the bottom part's still messy, but this part here, so you can get the ideas. Front and the back. I will then continue doing with the ribbings, and once it's done I will get back to you. So far I have the ribbing on the 10th row, and I think I'm just gonna stop at this row because I don't want the ribbing to be too long. The measurement of the ribbing here is around 2 inches. I need to cast this off from the needles. So how to cast off, I need to start from, here's where I put the stitch markers on, and the ending of the row. I've completed 10 row. So to cast off, I will put the yarn back to the back. So the first stitch of the new row, I'm just gonna do the knitting and knit one more time, and then just bring the loop from the first one cross over to the second one. So that would be the first cast off, and the second one I'm just gonna do only the knit stitches, and then bring this back over. So make sure it's not too tight or too loose. So just keep doing the knit. Next one, yarn over. Bring the second one over bring the previous one over the second one. Like this. So here's how you cast off from the needle. So I will continue doing this until I get to the last stitch. And then we cut off the yarn and then weave all the ends in. And here is the last stitch. I will then cut off the yarn and weave these ends in. So I'll go back to the first stitch where we started. And here's the inside, so I'm just gonna hide the end somewhere here. Just go back and forth. So make sure the ends is tight enough. And for the inside, I will leave it like that, unless you want to just keep pulling the ends. But make sure it's the right size and you can still get in the top. You still have the ends here, I haven't left this in yet. So just keep pulling this. I would recommend it if you not sure about the sizing of the top. You can try this on before you weave the part here, where you still can pull the the ends here. Just try this on first before to weave these ends in, and I will measure this part. So 17-18 inches, that should be okay, so as you can get in. And the measurement, I will measure from this part here. So start from underneath of these of the ring here. So start from here, including the ribbing, that would be 13 inches. And the width of these tops, so should fit size more, that would be 17 inches and 34 inches round. And what else? Side part here. So that would be around 8 inches. And the length of the back. That is 9 inches, including the ribbing. So now I need to, before I weave all these ends in, I will first do the straps onto this part. So there are many ways you can do it. You can just change, what I would do the new stitches. So leave the end for around 6 centimeters. The end here, so we can weave in later. Do the slip knot. Change 3. Actually, I'll chain 4 because I need to use the first stitch as a base. And then you do the double crochet on the first stitch, like this, and then change 3, and you get back to the first change. So I have 1, 2, 3, I'll get back to the 4th, like this, change 3, get back to the 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go in between here. Change 3. So just keep doing this until you get the length of, I would go for 120 centimeters. And my 120 centimeters, I will chain 1 and cut off the yarn. So I will weave the ends in after. I'm just going to show you how to insert this string onto the top. So basically just gonna put it through this little ring here. And then you turn back to the back piece, to the back side. How you're gonna wear it, it depends on what you would like these straps to be. For me, for example, I'm just gonna go to the back side. Let me check. Maybe when you measure from the side, like this, from the side of the top, I would go for 5 centimeters. I prefer to do the crisscross, so I'm just gonna pull the yarn through like this and do it on the other side. So I have here, for example, I'll just measure the length from this part to here is 5 inches. and from the other side, from here to here, it's also 5 inches. And then you can just tie the back, or if you don't want to do the crisscross, you just do the straight straps on the back. So this is entirely up to you. So after that, you try the top on and try to adjust the length, and you can just tie it on the back like this. Unless you have another type or method of tying the back, so that's entirely up to you. Alright, here is the finished product of the knitted top. So we have a few details here on the top part, and the crochet on top of the rings. You have the straps, also the hand knitted ribbing, and on the back you can do the crisscross back. So this is, you can adjust how you would like the back to be. If you have any comments, any questions, please write it down in the comment section below, and I will get back to you when I can. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I still have many more designs to come, and I will see you in the next video.